What do you believe will be the next big thing in filmmaking?
I strongly believe it's globalization. So if you look at the film industry as we tend to know it in the Western world, almost all of our revenue has come from 20% of the world by population. So almost all the revenue in the film business has come from Western Europe, United States, Japan, and South Korea. A little bit extra, but it's from places like Latin America, but it's largely 20%. So 80% of the world by population, 5 billion people, still are just starting to or have never really watched our movies. Technology now allows us to distribute our movies via streaming and other ways to these people. So I believe the future is making global movies that work everywhere. In other words, there's never been an Indian-made movie that's been a hit in the United States. There's only been a couple of Chinese-made movies that have been a hit in the United States. And in a sense, vice versa. A little bit more American movies in China. But I believe there are so many stories that we can make that encompass the entire world, and the whole world will go see them. And I think that changes filmmaking. The second part of that is that technology allows us to make these movies for the world, with the world. So here's what I mean. Before the pandemic started, we were starting a movie for Universal called Bobbleheads. It's an animated movie starring Cher. And when we started the movie, NVIDIA and Microsoft gave us this new technology because we had been working on remote networks of production anyway before the pandemic. But it was new technology to really push that envelope because there was one more thing we needed to achieve. And it worked. And then when the pandemic hit, we had this technology. So we were able to still finish and deliver the movie on time in spite of the pandemic because of the technology. But the really great thing it did was, bobbleheads are little characters who go like this, who were actually invented in India in the 800s. And part of our crew was Indian. So we could make a movie about bobbleheads with the culture that invented bobbleheads. So now the future is making movies for the world, from the world.
That's absolutely brilliant. And it's so true. We've had the same stories rehashed and retold so many times. And it's not like there aren't talented people, especially even in the Western world, Asian Americans, Black people in America who have these incredible stories to tell of their history and their culture. And it's just not being given the opportunity.
It's not done, but there are certain things that I think are common to everyone in the world. Everyone wants love. Everyone wants security. Everyone wants to find treasure. Everyone likes action. I mean, there's certain things you can do, but there's also great stories hiding in plain sight. The other thing that I think is not a problem, but let's call it an opportunity. When one goes to a lot of these cultures, which are newer to watching our films, people tend to try to make movies about the worst part of them. And they are important. Showing movies about the horrors in Africa are important. But there are wonderful stories in Africa, for example. There's great stories. There's great music and culture and happiness and all over the world. So I'm much more interested in taking these stories that I call locally flavored but globally appealing and taking more of the happy, fun ones, because I don't think that gets out there.
No, you're completely right. I can't think of a film that I've seen based in Africa that doesn't have some sort of reference to the awful history that happened there. And Western audiences need to see that as well. Would help with everything.
I go to India a lot, and we're going to do 2 of these movies in India. And sometimes it's hard for me to convince my brethren in LA to go to India, because in their minds, they're still thinking of an India that maybe was 50 years ago, lepers on the street. It's wonderful. India is beautiful and full of color and vibrancy and great and rich stories. But there's a human kind of trepidation about it, which comes from a lack of knowledge, which we hope to break.
So similar to the technology that is helping with the globalization, if you were to reflect on the technological advancements in cinematography, which filmmaking technique do you believe had the biggest impact on the entertainment industry?
Clearly digital technology. And, there's only been a few really strong inventions over the 120-year history of film. There was obviously film, there was sound, there was color, motion control camera, and digital. There really are very few. I'm proud to say that when we made Terminator 2, we strongly helped advance that. But the opportunities and what digital filmmaking has done is mind-blowing and continues to be. And it's not just because of the big, huge thing. You can see wonderful creatures like our T-1000 and wonderful aliens and all kinds of stuff like that. There are so many movies that have digital technology that you might not be aware of. A warehouse becomes an airport. Obviously, I didn't, but you can take wrinkles out of people's eyes. You can make anybody into anything, big or small. For all you know, I'm Elvis. You can do anything, you can do anything in the world and it works. And it just incredibly alters filmmaking because it allows you to tell better stories.
Definitely. I think it's so apparent with the kind of deep fake technology. The ability to put people who have passed away into a film is insane.
You know, I'm very interested in it because there's technology now when talking about global movies where you dub, but you can actually see the dubbing. But there's technology now that allows you to change the actor's face. So whatever language they're dubbed into, their mouth moves as that per that language. It's very new, but I think it'll work.